There we go. Um, so the first thing I wanted to talk about today is specifically um, that if you did not finish your map test, um, then or you didn't take it, that tomorrow at 12 is the makeup time for math. Right. So Miss Snyder's Zoom room link is the one to use for that. And that is posted. I posted it in an announcement for this class. So you can find that there in the announcements. Okay. Um, let's see what else. I think y'all should know all of these things at this point, so I won't repeat those. Um, so we had three quizzes in the grade book so far for Q4, and then 2 weeks of liftoff and legends of learning, like whichever one you have, and then several days of practice in Nearpods. So what I would encourage you to do is really um, just to make sure that as you go into spring break that you get yourself caught up on everything. All right, because then we got about 4 weeks worth of schoolwork after spring break. All right, so we have 3 weeks. Then some people are in testing 1 week, and then in terms of SC ready, and some people are in the second week. So we'll be posting 1 week of work for those 2 weeks. So basically, it's about 4 more weeks of work. So Lorray, that's our last map test. Then you'll be doing in-person SC ready testing. I kind of wish I'd made y'all some of you turn in your work paper. I think some of y'all would have done better on your map test had you shown more work than you did. But my thought was you needed to learn from your mistake now. If you didn't do that and you feel like your performance was not what it could have been, so that when you go into SC ready, that you really go in and you show work, so that you do your absolute best. Okay, that to have a score that really reflects what kind of student you are. Right. So I think there's some of you should be pleased with what your map test was, in percentiles and growth and everything. And some of you probably aren't necessarily pleased with that. But the deal is I feel from my perspective like I provided y'all the opportunities to learn math virtually this year. Teaching math virtually is not an easy thing to do. Okay. It's the hardest subject to teach online. That's why not a lot of people want to do it. And so I feel like that I've given y'all a chance to learn well this year. I think a lot of you have been learning a lot this year. So our results overall were not terrible. I would have liked to seen better, but a lot of us are certainly on the right track. Okay, so let me switch over to the Nearpod here. Let's make sure you're getting logged into that. All right. All right, here we go. All right, so we've been working on um, this particular standard here, right? Find the area of right triangles, other triangles, special quadrilaterals, and polygons by composing into rectangles or decomposing into triangles and other shapes, and then applying these techniques in the context of solving real world and mathematical problems. Okay, so um, with yesterday's work, I had you working on some various different sort of composite figures, including some that would technically be surface areas, which is a different standard, but it's still basically the same skill. Okay, so today we're going to kind of review this standard, and then tomorrow I have posted we have our geometry quiz one. Okay, now I know you're like, man, we already had a map test this week. Yeah, I get it, but I also didn't give you the quiz last week on this because I wanted to make sure I took another day of practice, a day of review, kind of going back over some things before I gave you a quiz on this. Okay, so this quiz is a pretty substantial one, that's very important. So I would certainly make sure that you've turned in the work from yesterday, the 326 work, um, and certainly waited till after this lesson today. So once you've got done 326, you've done this lesson, you can go ahead and do the quiz. And then at that point, you will be, if you've done all your work, that's it before spring break. So you got to look back, make sure your grades where it needs to be. Make sure you don't have anything missing, right? So make sure you submit all your missing work. Okay. Yes, great.
Do we have Liftoff or Legends of Learning this week?
No. So I just put on there. So for this week we had map test Monday. We had the day of practice of some different types of figures yesterday. We got class today and then a quiz tomorrow. So I actually literally only assigned you one other day of turning in work for this week. And then, the rest of it's anything people need to make up, turn in, etc. Because there's no school on Friday. Okay. So we're kind of finishing up this particular standard, which I think is a very significant one that will have probably multiple questions on SC Ready. Okay. So that's kind of the reason I did it this way. All right. Now, all right, here's that link again. Make sure you're logged in if you haven't gotten there yet. Okay, so today we're looking at finding various polygons areas, including composite figures. And I'm going to try to work in some more with the triangles as a part here. Okay, so what I've got here is I tried to come up with for today a bunch of different types of questions. Nothing that's a new skill per se, but letting you see a bunch of different types of questions that are the types you might see on an SC Ready and that are on our quiz tomorrow. Okay. And just trying to help prepare you as best as possible. So that's kind of my goal today. All right. So let's look at here. So you should be on this one right here. Okay. So what we're looking at on this first one here says find the area of the rectangle that contains two congruent squares. So congruent means exactly the same. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we know these are squares. So that means this is 7. When you have these kind of shapes, you really need to label them. Okay, so we know these are squares, so that all the sides are the same. So notice this is 7. This is 7. That's 7. That's 7. That's 7. Okay, so what I would do is that I would put inside of each little part of the shape the area of that shape. Okay, so go ahead and put the area in here and in here, and then add them up and get the total. Okay, give you a few seconds to do that one. All right, so let's see what we got going on here. Hide your answers and then look at it. All right. Yeah, so we're getting there. Don't just wait on me here. I need you guys to be developing some independence here, not just waiting on me to go over. All right. Everybody who's doing it's right so far. All right, so all right, so 7 times 7 is 49, right? So then this is 49, this is 49. All right, and then all right, Eddie, I got you right here. All right, so then 49 plus 49 equals 98. Yes, sir.
So what I did,
Hmm.
so I knew that 7 plus 7 was 14. So
Uh-huh.
on the top, I just multiplied 7 times 14 and I got 98.
Right.
Does it
So
work?
yeah, of course. That's if you know that 14 times 7 is 98, that's fine. Right. I would say most people don't know 14 times 7. Okay. I do, so I would have done that. Okay. But I'm just showing kind of the simple, kind of straightforward way. Okay. Any other questions on this one before we move on? Because again, this is not so much a new skills. I just think we need several types of practice on these to see what sort of problems we get. Okay. All right. Now, So here's what we got, right? This time right here, I gave you something similar to this yesterday. The area of this is 63, okay? So the equation to find the width would be 9 times the width equals 63. So write that down, okay? Then show the steps to solve it, okay? So now you show the steps to solve it here. So you put the line right here. Then you divide. So this is times 9. Divide both sides by 9. So the width equals 7. 9 times 7 is 63. Okay, now notice my hint right here. If you're given a problem like this that has fractions and mixed numbers or mixed numbers, and it's multiple choice, you can either solve it like an equation like we did here, or you could say, okay, let me kind of guess and check. Okay, so here's what I mean. Let's say that this is like I don't know, 65 or something instead of 63. Well, it's going to come out as a mixed number. So what you could do is you could take the different like answer choices. Let me kind of go, here's what I'm saying. So let's say this is 5, and then this is X, and the whole thing is 12. Okay. And then you got answer choices A, B, C, and D. So what you can do is you say, okay, 5 times X has to equal 12. All right. And then let's say that A is 3. Well, if I put in 3, that would be 15. So that's no good. But then if I fill in, let's say that one of them is 2 and 2 2/5. Okay. Then I would say, okay, I got 5 times 2 2/5. All right. Then once I make that 12/5, then that will equal 12. So you can kind of guess and check those and do the multiplication. That's one of the things I frequently would do on a multiple choice test is as long as I knew what I needed to do to solve it, I could use the answer choices to get to the answer. Okay. That's a really good thing to do if it is an answer that's not a whole number like this one was. Okay. If it's a whole number, you just do it like this. Okay. Questions on that? Okay. Next one. Okay. Now I will say it is when you're finding the missing length, it can be very useful to write the equation. So when we're doing a parallelogram, it's the base times the height, right? So they gave us here 3 for each one of these, what the area is. So the area for A is going to be 10. See it right here. I'm not just making this up. It's right there. So it's 10 equals, let's go ahead and do this with me here. I'm sure you're like, oh yeah, I can see. It's got to be 2. Okay, that's fine. But I'm wanting you to see how to kind of do the work in case it's a harder one. So 5 times whatever the height is. Right? Okay. So here, all right, so this one is going to be 21, right? So 21 is the area, and that's going to equal, so 7 is the height, right? So this can be 7 times the base, because the base is the one that's right here. All right. And then here we have 25. Okay. And then so 25, so I'm getting that from here, I'm not making it up, equals 5 is the height. So we got 5 times whatever the base is. Okay. Everybody see what I'm doing here? Okay, so I'm taking the area they gave us here. This is 10, the whole thing. They're telling us this one's 21. And they're telling us this one's 25. And so what I'm saying is the equation here is the area equals the base times the height. So now I can just write out the equation and solve it. Okay. Lorraine, where did I answer what you were saying? maybe. Okay, so now what you want to do is go ahead and solve this. So we'll solve the equations just like this. Okay, and I know you could do these in your head, but there'll be some that are harder. Okay, so that one's 2. Yes.
So I find it easier, like when you're trying to find a missing number, to just do like division. Is that bad, or can I still like just like
So
do
the reason
7 divided by
the
21, for
okay, the
example?
reason I'm showing you this way, Gray, is because sometimes the question might say which equation could be used to find B, the base of this. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm addressing the other way the questions could be worded. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so literally on your SC Ready, they might give you this question right here. It says the area of parallelogram C is 25 square units. If the height is 5, what equation could be used to find B, the length of the base? You see? It may not even be what is the length of the base. It may be which equation could be used. You see what I'm saying? Is that going to make sense? That's the reason I'm teaching it like this, because I know darn well you can find that that's 5 if you know this equation is this equation right here. What I'm not confident in is if I don't teach it this way, then y'all will get to the test and be like, what the heck? He didn't teach us these. Well, it's not going to be because I've not attempted to dissect the standards and make sure that you see how to like address the question any way they could possibly ask it. Does that make sense? All right. Now, like I am pretty confident that the map test had at least 1 or 2 on it, depending on where you were, that I don't think we're actually on the South Carolina standards the way they asked them for your grade level. I'm not going to necessarily tell you which one it was because some people haven't taken it, but the South Carolina test will not make that same mistake. Okay, everybody, make sure your screen looks like mine here because I am looking for it to look like an equation. Okay, give you a few seconds to make sure that you got that. So when I check it, I'm wanting to see the equations. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. And I'm sure most of y'all have found by now that I don't just go in and give you 10 points just because you turned in some slides. Okay, if I don't see the work I'm asking for, I take off points. Okay, any other questions on this slide? Give a few more seconds. Okay. All right, moving on in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. All right, next one. Okay, the area of this figure is 40 square feet. Okay, so if you got yourself behind on the last one, don't wait, get going. All right, so we're looking for what is the value of x. Okay, so the area of a triangle, all right, is going to be the base times the height divided by 2, right? Or 1/2 of the base times the height. So here we're looking for this. I will warn you that half of you on a quiz are going to put 5 there. Okay. That's not it. Okay. 5 is wrong. Okay. So if you do not be careful on this one and substitute it in, I'm telling you that on a quiz tomorrow, you're going to put 5 on that and you're going to be wrong. Okay. So here's the deal. The area of the figure is 40. Okay. Y'all have the skills to do this if you're careful. The base is 8. Okay, so we're going to put 8. We don't know the height. It's x or h, doesn't matter. Divided by 2. Right? Okay, now 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then, so now we have 4h equals 40. Okay? Now look at that and make sure you see what I did there. Okay. Again, I'm going to talk back through it as you're catching up with me. So the area of a triangle is half the rectangle. So it's the base times the height divided by 2. We have the area on this one. Okay. So we have 8 for the base right here. Then the height, you could put either h or x, then divide it by 2. Okay. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So we have 4 times h equals 40. So hopefully you see on this one where writing that equation is super necessary for avoiding the mistake I'm talking about. Okay. Some of y'all, you're like really smart math students, but I'm telling you, even really smart math students are going to make the mistake I'm talking about if you do not write it out like this equation. Okay. It's a major, like, trick you type mistake. All right, think about it this way. Now, if we come back and check it and we say, okay, this is 10. 8 times 10 is 80, divided by 2 is 40. Okay, questions on that one? Great, is it, you see on this one right here, I'm sure you do, that you see why doing that on this one actually makes a big difference, doesn't it? All right, because, on the last one, I'm with you, but on this one, doing this right here is going to, I mean, like, even myself when I'm y'all's age, right? This is the kind where I could easily make a mistake on that if I'm not careful in thinking through my steps. Okay. So that's kind of a good example of what I'm getting at here. Okay. Questions there? All right, give y'all a few more seconds there. And what I think is cool about 6th grade math, I'm trying to teach this correctly, is you should be seeing at this part of the year how the full year of skills start to wrap themselves up, right? Where we're writing equations, we're solving equations, we're substituting, we're doing fractions and decimals. So there's a lot of this that starts to really kind of weave together as we get to the last 7-8 weeks of the year. Okay, and that's the reason the standards are written like they are. Okay, give you a few more seconds on this one. I'm at 10 seconds here. Show the slide again with what you need, Liam. I'm sorry, you cut off the end of your thing. Oh, you mean with mine on it? Okay, hold on. This. Yeah. Again, if for some reason you got behind on a couple of slides, remember you can go on the student pace one, do a couple of slides that you feel like you didn't do right, and then message me to check your other one too. Okay, I try to be understanding of that. Okay, everybody good on this one? All right, if I don't hear anything, I'm moving at 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, now this one is a funky little guy right here. Okay, I don't like this guy personally. Maybe some of y'all will, but I don't. Okay, so here's probably the way that I would say I would do this. So let's take that rectangle right there. Okay, that rectangle is simple enough, right? A couple people have come in late. Someone put that link out there again. So here you can see that this guy right here is 4, right? Yay, easy enough, 2 by 2. Now, what you should be able to notice is that these shapes right here are all the same, right? Therefore, if you move this over here, that would make another rectangle that's 2 by 2, which is 4. If you move this one over here, or whatever, this one over here, okay, then that would make us a third rectangle that's 2 by 2 right here. Okay, so then that makes this one right here also 4. Okay, so we could do 4 times 3, that's 12. Yay. Okay, we're done. The other way you could do it, and I'll leave it that way for a second, and then I'm going to go do it another way. Okay, you just got to have one of the ways on there. Okay, So I'm gonna switch ways right now. If you got it that way, that's cool. Just watch. All right. If you're like, it's confusing. All right, let's try it. Here's another way. All right. So you could also do it like this, the square in the middle, same idea. Okay, now let's do it a different way. So here we got 2. If I take each triangle individually, base times height, 2 times 2 is 4. All right. Half of that divided by 2 is 2. All right. 2 times 2 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. Right? So base times height divided by 2. So 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Either way works. You're just taking the area of the shapes and adding them up. Okay. Questions there? So make sure you got it shown kind of one of those 2 ways there. Any questions on that? So again, here's the second way right here. The second way is that I basically have found the area of each triangle is 2 times 2 divided by 2, because it's 1/2 times the base times height. So that it gives us 2. That's where I got all the areas of those little triangles. Okay. Moving on in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Now, here, why in the world we want to find areas of these things? I don't know, but we apparently do. Okay. So I think 2 triangles is the way to go here. Okay. So now we need to find the area of each one of these triangles. Okay. So this base right here. Okay. So watch what I'm doing in orange is for this one over here. 2 is the base, and the height is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 2 times 4 divided by 2. So it's 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I'm going to go write the area of this one in here. And some of you, your mistakes on yesterday's practice had to do with you were forgetting to label like one of the shapes or something. That's kind of avoiding that if you write it inside of each one. Okay, so then the second one here, change colors. We'll go in green this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 5. 6 times 5 is 30. Divided by 2 is 15. Okay, so this shape right here, this whole thing right here, 6 times 5 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. Therefore, the answer for the whole thing would be 19. 4 plus 15 equals 19. Okay, questions on that one? So again, it's just deconstructing them into different shapes, right? That's all there is to it. So knowing the way to find the rectangle area and the triangle area, and then carefully dividing them up into different shapes is really the key to this standard. Okay, just being really kind of paying attention to detail and being careful. Okay. Yes.
Sorry, I feel like I'm asking a lot of questions, but
That's
I
okay.
mean, so on the 2 triangles,
Right.
I always thought that, like, for example, the one the area is 15. I always thought you're supposed to take the 2 sides of the triangle and make them 1. Is that not how it works, or can you make the 2 side triangles count as
You can, so you talking about like this part right here?
No,
Talking about
I'm
like,
talking about, yeah, like the corner of the triangle.
so like this guy over here and this guy over here?
Um, See where the like bottom corner of it.
This or this?
Yeah, that. I thought you were supposed to make. I thought that was half of a square.
Okay, so it is half of this rectangle right here. Okay. So what you could do is you can make this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. right? So then that's 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5, right? Then if this is 7.5, that one's the same, right? So then that's 7.5. So 3 times 5 is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. But if you think about it, 7.5 plus 7.5 is 15. So it's the same thing, okay? It's just that if you look at the entire rectangle right here, so if you take this entire rectangle that this triangle is fit inside of here, okay? So let's look at it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 times 6 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. So still the same. The concept you're saying is the same. It's just that by fitting it in this entire one right here, triangle's half of a rectangle. Correct. But you can just make it this one big one right here and divide it by 2. Okay? All right. Next one. All right. Find the area of the shaded region. Okay. I don't like these kind at all. They're weird. So what we can do here is there's a couple of things. One would be we could find the area of the entire box, okay, and then subtract these little parts right here. Probably the way to go, okay? So if we look at this right here, this is 14, right? You add those together. These right here are 10. Therefore, the entire area of this is 14 times 10, which is 140, okay? So that's going to be the starting number. So to find this, we got to subtract something. All these little guys right here. Okay. So we're going to take the rectangle, subtract all the little triangles. Okay. Now, what we got here, right, is I'm going to change colors here as we're working. So notice this is 2 right here. That's 6. This is 6. That means this is going to be 2 right here. Okay. So 6 times 2 is 12. Divided by 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. So you do the base times height divided by 2. So notice we got these two 6's here. Okay, I'm going to put over here the areas we need to add up that need to be taken away from the whole entire rectangle. Now, over here we have 4 times 12, which is 48, divided by 2 is 24. Okay, let me write down what I'm saying here. This triangle right here is 4 is the base, 12 is the height, then we divide it by 2 because it's a triangle. So that's 48. Then we divide by 2, and that's where I got the 24 from. Okay? Now, if that one's 24, the other one's going to be 24, but I'm going to show it anyway. So this is 12. This is 2, right? So that means this has got to be 12 right here. So 12 times 4 is 48, divided by 2 is 24. Okay, so now when I'm figuring out how much is not included in this middle rectangle, I got to add these dudes up right here. So 6 plus 6 plus 24 plus 24. 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 4 is 16, plus 4 is 20, then 2, 4, 6. So that's 60. So that means that the area of this rectangle in the middle, this guy, is going to be 140, which is the whole outside rectangle, minus the 60 that's not shaded in, which is 140 minus 60 is 80. Okay. Now, is that a lot of steps? Yeah. But are any of them hard? Shouldn't be. Okay. So all you got to do is you find the area of the rectangle, then take away all the little side triangles. Okay. So it's just about being careful and paying attention to detail there. Okay. Give you a minute to finish that one up. tell me if you got any questions on that, please. You can either ask them out loud or you can type them in over here. I presume you understand if you do not ask me something. Okay? Because it clearly makes sense to me because that's why I explained it that way, right? So if it doesn't make sense to you, you got to say, well, what about this? Or what about this? All right. All right, about 10 more seconds. All right, what I'm trying to do here, again, in case you missed this earlier, is I'm trying to give you all the types of problems that you are likely to see on either my quiz or on SC Ready on the standard. Okay, that's what I'm attempting to do. All right, and then if you're confused on it, that's where you should know, to ask me about that. Okay, all right, here we go. Next one. All right, now this one, I think I didn't, oh, actually, I didn't mean for you to draw on this one because I have it, yeah, I have it separately. All right, so this one right here, you don't have to draw. Okay, I'm just drawing on it to begin with. All right, so right here, it says Lynn and Andre use different methods to find the area of a regular hexagon, meaning hexagon. When it says regular, that means all the sides and angles are the same. All right, hexagon means 6 sides with 6-inch sides. Lynn decomposed the hexagon into 6 identical triangles. Andre went with a rectangle and 2 triangles. So what we're going to do is we're going to see, prove that each way is the same. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do both of them. Okay. So follow with me here. You're going to see that if you're given a shape, the point of this question is you can be given a shape and there can be more than one way to attack the problem. Okay. So now this way right here, here's the problem we got here. So notice we have the base of these triangles. We don't have the height. Okay. So notice that the height of 2 of the triangles is 10.4. That means the height of one triangle is half of that. So we're going to take 2 into 10.4, which is going to give us 5.2. So that means the height of each triangle is 5.2. Okay, so that means we got the area of each triangle. So write your 5.2 right there. The area of each triangle is going to be equal to 6 times 5.2 divided by 2. You could go ahead and divide 6 by 2 and get 3, but that would confuse some people, so I'm not going to do it that way. Okay, so 5.2 times 6. It's like this. 2 times 6 is 12. 6 times 5 is 30. This one is 31. 1 decimal place in the problem, so 1 in the answer. So we have 31.2 divided by 2. All right. Now, make sure you see what I've done so far. So now we got to do 31.2 divided by 2. Okay. So 2 into 31.2. So 2 goes into 3 one time. Bring down your 1. 2 times 5 is 10. Bring down your 2. And then 2, bring your decimal straight up. 2 times 6 is 12. Okay, so we have 15.6. All right, and I know you're probably going to run out of room on your slide. So I will tell you that what I'm going to check for is this part I'm leaving on here. You see the area, this part over here? That's what I need to see. And then this next step I show right here, and I'm going to show in orange, you need to show me that also. Okay, so 15.6 is one triangle, but all 6 of these triangles are the same. So you could do 15.6 plus 15.6 6 times, or you could do 15.6 times 6. Okay, so that's going to be 36, 30, 33. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 9. So 93.6. So the answer to the whole thing is 93.6 square inches. That's our final answer. Okay. So notice we found the area of one triangle. Then we said there's 6 triangles like that. So we did it times 6. Okay. Make sure you got this method done. So I want to see on your slide, I need to see both how you got to the 15.6. Okay. This and this I expect to see on your slide. Okay. Some of the other side work I did, fine. But this right here, I need this right here, right? This multiplying, and these steps right here that we'd use to get the triangle. I want to see all of that on your slide. Okay. Let me know if you got any questions on that. So again, you could decompose this regular shape right here into 6 equal triangles. Do one triangle, then do it times 6. It's one way of doing it. All right. Now, move on to the next one in just a few seconds. The next one's actually going to be a little bit faster, I think, because we're going to have a rectangle and then a triangle. Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's not faster. All right. Here we go. All right. So Andre's method is this. All right. So let's, do Andre's method with me here. So notice this is 10.4 times 6. Okay. So for our rectangle part here, right? Notice this is 10.4. So we're going to do 10.4 times 6. So that's 24, 0, 2, and then 6. So 62.4. So this right here is 62.4. Okay, now we have these 2 equal triangles. So theoretically, we got 2 of them, so we wouldn't have to divide by 2. But I think that's kind of confusing, so I'm going to divide by 2 and put each one of them on there, okay? If you understand what I said there, then yeah, you get it. All right, so the area of this triangle, let's see. Do we even have that right there? Wait a second. I'm not sure we have that. This is 6. Oh, that's 10.4. Okay. This method is actually much harder, I think, now that I look at it. Because we got to figure out the height of this guy right here. And then, let's see, that's going to be 10.4. The height. I don't like this way. Anybody, I'm missing something here because I am not seeing the distance there. What do we got here? How tall is that right there? Does anybody know how tall that is? My apologies, but I'm not seeing it right now. Would this have to be? Yeah, Gray, what are you seeing there? I'm not seeing this one this way.
At first, I'm not sure, but I think the middle part is 6. And the side of the triangle is also 6. So I was gonna say maybe it's 6 or 3. But I don't really know how to figure it
Yeah,
out.
that is confusing. Okay, so let's see. What was our answer on this one? Because I want to look back at the other one and then I'm gonna know the answer and then I can figure it out from there. Okay, because I just confused the heck out of myself on that. Did mine erase? Hold it. Anybody else got that here? I know I knew this when I made the slide, but I somehow forgotten it since then because I made this a couple weeks ago. For some reason I just went brain dead. We had 93.6. Okay. So there's got to be some way I'm supposed to be figuring this out. Let me see if somebody's smarter than me who's already figured this out. Sometimes different people see things different ways. So somebody says this is 31.22, but I'm not sure how they've got that. It can't be a different answer to the other one, okay? So you got to get 93.6. So if you didn't get 93.6, you're wrong. All right, so let's see. This is 10.4. That's 6. Yeah. So if it's 3, would that work? Is that going to get us there? That's what I feel like it is, but I'm afraid that I'm just I don't know if I have a reason for that. So if this is 3 by 10.4, let's try that. 10.4 by 3 divided by 2, that would give us what, 31.2? Is that right? Divided by 2 is 15.6. So if that's 15.6, then this is 15.6. Let's see. I feel like that might be it. Because if that's 15.6 and 15.6, then that is it. I'm not sure that I know why to explain it that way, because those are both 15.6. So then that gives us, here we had 10.4 times 6. So we had, let's see what we had there, because I just erased it. 62.4. Okay, this was 62.4. All right. So 62.4. And then this is, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm being confusing here. Okay, so 62.4 plus the two 15.6s. Now that's going to get us there. All right. So that's 10, that's 16. Yeah, that's the right way of doing it. All right. What I'm not knowing how to exactly explain to you is that I felt like this was 3 right here, but I wasn't exactly seeing why that was 3 there. So the height of that triangle is 3. Okay. Great. You think you can explain it? Does anybody else, if you know how to explain what went on there, that was my gut instinct too, but I am not exactly sure why I knew that was it. All right. You know, anybody?
Sorry. The garbage disposal was on, so I don't want you guys to have to hear that.
Yeah.
So I thought that maybe you could subtract 93, like, so you could figure it out beforehand, because Andre would have to figure out it himself, like 93 minus 62.4, and then whatever gets you that, divide that by 2, and then you would have the area of the two
Right. But
triangles.
that would only work if he knew previously knew the whole area of them, right? All right, let's see. Sage, you got it. Tell me what I'm missing here.
Well, the way I did it is I added the two triangles and got 62.4, and then I did the middle one and it was 62.4. So I added those together and got 124.8. Then I subtracted 31.2 and got 93.6.
Okay. So I'm wondering here if this, I don't know. I don't think I'm sufficiently explaining this one that well. So I would just say, to me, this particular type right here, I would just go with all of the triangles there. Okay. Because I know I got enough information to do those triangles like that. Okay. That's the one part I am very confident of. Let's see. So if that's, yeah, I actually think the other thing is that I think that knowing this is this way also tells you how far it is to the middle there. To the middle of the whole thing. All right. Sorry, I knew that one in my head like the other day, but then I just went brain dead on it. All right. Now this one is not as hard as it looks. Okay. So I put one of these on the quiz for tomorrow. This one's not nearly as hard as it looks. This is supposed to be a little dotted line here. Okay. But I had to draw it, so it's drawn like that. Okay. So this one we have two parallelograms, right? And the parallelogram is going to be the area of the base. It's going to be the base times the height. Okay. So for each one of these parallelograms, all you got to do is take the base of the parallelogram, the 10, and this is a height. That's a 4. So 10 times 4 is 40. Don't overthink this. This is not that hard. Okay. This 10 is not necessary. It's just showing you that these are all the same. This is 10 times 4, which is 40. Okay. Then the area of the whole thing is going to be just 40 plus 40, which equals 80. Much easier than that last one. Okay. This is the one right here I do expect you should be able to handle. Okay. Questions on that one? See what we did there. We had the base times the height because it's a parallelogram. And we had two of those. We added them together. Okay. All right. And then we got one last one here. And then we'll be done. Okay. So this one actually isn't asking you to solve here. It says, describe or show the strategy you would use to find its area. Mark up and label the diagram to show your reasoning so that it can be followed by others. Okay. So it says it's not necessary to calculate the area. So here's what I want us to do here. We're just going to draw the lines on here to make sure that we could show how you would do it. So draw your lines on there. All right. So then you would do, I'm labeling it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. And then here we go 1 like that. So that's 3. And that's 6. So that's the point of a question that's written like this one is you just label that. And then somebody later on could come back and say, oh, okay, 6 times 3 is 18 divided by 2 is 9. 6 times 4 is 24. And this is 6 times 3 is 18 divided by 2 is 9. Okay. And then you just add those up. Right? You add up each of the shapes. So that's the last thing on this one. Just label that one and then we'll finish up. All right. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. Apologies for this one being confusing right there. Okay. Basically for today, I didn't put another assignment. Okay. So I would make sure that you turn in the 326 practice and that you watch the video on that before taking the quiz tomorrow. Okay, the quiz tomorrow is on all this geometry stuff that we were kind of reviewing over today. All right, just splitting apart, putting together figures with rectangles and triangles, right? And then after that, we're on spring break on Friday. Okay, so just make sure that you are looking at your grades, make sure your grades are where they need to be and that you don't have a bunch of, missing work. Get that done before you go on spring break so that when I'm going to send out another grade update like this weekend sometime. So don't go tell your mom or somebody, oh, I don't have any missing work. Then I'm going to send a message that says you do have missing work. Right. So, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you got all the work done. Got yourself caught up, got your grades good before we go on spring break. Okay. All right. Any questions before we go? All right. Well, make sure that you got your slides all done. Let me know if you need me to go back on any of them. And then at that point, you can go. Stop.
can you go back to the slide that